companions. Today I want to talk about not much happening, and yet a lot happening. Now, after Manjolo and I had left the Sable Bulls, we turned slightly north because I wanted to keep the wind in our faces. The bush was stunningly beautiful. Giant brachystegia, giant leadwoods and buffalo thorn, and then patches of terminalia, and then forests of giant mupanis. It was just wonderful to walk through. Game sign was scarce. A few small antelope, lone hyena spoor that was several days old. But I knew from experience that although it seemed lifeless for many kilometers around us, things could change suddenly, and we could have wonderful tenderness or brutal savagery. Even this apparent lifelessness was an illusion. Actually, the bush was teeming with life around me. Some of it was really hidden from me, but a lot I just could not see because of my untrained eye and lack of experience. It was a huge contrast from watching the two sable bulls spar. And by midday, the heat and the monotony had begun to eat away at our enthusiasm and dull our senses. And when we walked past a nice big jackalberry, I said to Manjolo, let's take a rest. Now, under the jackalberry, it was wonderfully cool. Trees are such refreshing places. It's so much more refreshing than any man-made attempt at shade. So we settled down against the jackalberry's trunk, and we had an orange each, and we chewed on some nuts, and eventually Manjolo dozed off, and I took the time to scribble in my diary, and I tried to make a reasonable sketch of the two sable bulls because I didn't take any photographs. Actually, I was grateful for this break with Manjolo asleep because I could now truly let my mind wander. And I just gazed out across the simmering veld outside our pool of shade, and I let my mind wander. Being in an untouched stretch of wilderness like this is, to me, a fascinating experience. It's this combination of the unpredictability and then having to deal with the unexpected, the constant low froth of danger, the mysteries I become aware of and I mull over, the many wonders I observe, some of them small and quiet, almost unnoticeable, others huge and thundering and spectacular. They all combine into this fascination that I feel for the bush. Now, wonderful as these observations and experiences are, I still felt the need to become more aware. It was an old yearning. I wanted to see more, to hear more, to feel more, to smell more, to understand more of what was going on around me. Now, I have more or less accepted that I am no longer going to find anyone that is close enough to the bush and have lived in it for long enough so that they can teach me what I don't know yet. There's only one way for me to satisfy this yearning, and that is by getting close to the bush. On the few expeditions that I have left in me, I had to feel its soil beneath my feet. I had to feel its air around my body. I had to feel its textures under my fingers. I had to adopt its shape, like a stream takes on the shape of its bed. Now, each expedition has what I'll call a warm-up period. And during this period, the senses have to reawaken and sharpen. And the mind has to become quiet, and it has to open, and it has to re-understand how to break away from the disciplines that are required in the modern world and to just wander. Because it is through this wandering mind that I'm able to make this intimate connection. My awareness needs to go beyond my senses. It needs to reach into that something primal that is the real Gaia in its entirety. And this is why, despite the added disadvantages and dangers that it brings, I prefer to go into the wilderness alone. Having anybody with me is a distraction. Even Manjolo, unobtrusive as he was somewhat of a distraction. He's another human being that needs to be recognized and interacted with. And it takes away the focus from the inner self and the wilderness. But now reality was beginning to set in again. It was a good 3 hours of walking back to camp, and we had to get moving if we wanted to be ready for the night. But it was good for me to have the time to think about this quietly and to reaffirm the real reasons and the real value that I get from these expeditions into Africa. One so often gets caught up in having to get there, or keeping up the momentum, or looking for the next sighting. And then one loses perspective of what it is really all about. And it is really all about the moments, and just the moments. I hope you've enjoyed this little mental doodle that I have wandered into. And I hope you will join me next time for the next story of what happened to me on my expedition. Good luck.